Well, good afternoon, everyone. What a turnout again. I remember these days, I missed them. And very proud, very happy to welcome the #1 featherweight in the world back to the team at Matchroom. Sky Sports, the Zone. Thank you, thank you. It's funny how life works out. We were just saying with Josh there, you know, it was a conversation I had probably a couple of weeks ago with Steve Wood, and I sort of said to him, when's that Warrington out of contract again? He said, funny you should say that, actually. And then everything went from there, and it's been amazing to watch Josh's development since we parted company. And I think what he's done has been sensational. The early days, looking back at what we started at Leeds Arena, were probably some of the most rewarding days of probably my career as well. I mean, forgetting the beer that used to come over, the tears, you know, onto my head during the ring walks and stuff like that. The atmosphere that you guys generated was second to none. And when you talk about great atmospheres, you know, you talk about Carl Frampton in Belfast, you talk about Lewis Ritson now in Newcastle. Not just saying it because I'm here, but this was second to none. What we used to feel when we came out. I remember we started, I think it was like a Tuesday night. We had the Wednesday night, we had the first event in Leeds Arena, and even then you could feel what was building, what was growing. Going on to winning the British title there, winning the European title, you know, the crowds were just going up and up, the ring walks were getting more and more exciting. And then we got to a stage where we parted company with Josh, and unfortunately I've had to watch these great nights, and it was a sickener for me, I have to be honest. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you know, we were sitting there, I was watching Ellen Road, and I thought, oh, don't worry, it's okay, Eddie, he won't beat Selby, he won't beat Selby, you know. And I'm watching it and thinking, fair play, this is a great performance, and won that fight in style, became the world champion. And listen, whilst it wasn't on my show, I was proud of him, I was pleased for him, because I think what him and Steve Wood built from the complete ground up, there was no Olympic medals, there was no GB squads, this was just him and Steve Wood that started out in small hall shows, winning English titles. You know, I remember when we had him on our first ever show with a Commonwealth title against Samir Mamoon. Yeah. He came to Hull for that, and I don't know who was here from that fight from the crowd, but I think he sold sort of 200 or 300 tickets, and I thought, wow, and it was a great fight. But that was kind of like almost a life and death fight at that stage in his career for Josh Warrington. And the rise to, like I said, and this is so important, and I said this to Josh in the side room, to #1 featherweight in the world. Let's not forget that. You know, check box rec, check the rankings, check the resume. This is the #1 featherweight in the world. And what he's achieved over that last year and a half, I mean, a Carl Frampton win again, unbelievable performance. That was one where I thought, well, they're definitely going to get him now. And he went on and he beat Carl Frampton in a great fight, and now I feel like it's time to establish that legacy internationally, to go on and have those away days in America. Here is very important to bring a fight. Now, I'm standing there today, you know, and as a ex-cricketer or failed cricketer, I didn't even know these two grounds were attached. So I said to the guys here, which one are we doing first? Rugby or cricket? And they said, rugby first. But the cricket could also come. But for me, the absolute focus for Josh Warrington has to be now the unification fights. He's been there, he's done it, he's seen it all. Now it's time to have the major unification fights here in Leeds. You look at the champions, Gary Russell, Leo Santa Cruz, Can Zhu, and Shakur Stevenson. They've all been on the phone yesterday. I sent Josh a direct message from Gary Russell saying, let's go, we're ready. For me, the unification fight is the absolute target over the next week or 2 weeks to try and finalise. We've already spoke to the guys at Headingley. Straight up, we want to do it there. That's where we want to do it. I see you've even got some standing as well. I mean, as if the atmosphere weren't mad enough as it is. Get them up there, it's going to be incredible. There's also the focus of the American experience. For some of you in this room, you may have come to Germany a few years ago. They've never seen anything like it. They still talk about it to this day. When Josh Warrington and his fans turned up to fight in Germany, I just invited a few down the pub for a pint in Germany. I'm still paying for that. It was a brilliant away day, and there is the possibility of the American fight as well next. We know Kid Galahad is the mandatory. We know you guys are big fans of him. At some point, that's something that as a champion, Josh has to focus on as well. But right now, the absolute priority, unification fights in Leeds. And that is the aim for us this summer. Second to none. It's what we feel we have to deliver for Josh. There's a lot of things that he wants to tick on his box, and you know, the American fight and particularly the unification fight in Leeds is key. So this is kind of like a relaxed Q&A between me and Josh up here. I've missed him, you see, so I wanted to have a little chat with him today. And right now, I'm going to pass over to say a few words. The #1 featherweight in the world, the reigning IBF featherweight world champion from Leeds, Josh Warrington.
Cheers, Ed. You can talk, can't you?
Can I just say, before I interrupt, I don't want to steal your thunder. When we had our meeting last week, I gave Josh one of the best pitches I've ever given a fighter, right? But unfortunately, he knows me really well. And I was going for it, wasn't I?
Yeah,
This went on for 5-6 minutes. I was just selling him the dream. Unifications in Leeds, we're back.
Yeah.
The partnership is back. And he just looked at me and he just went like this. As if to say, you can talk some...
I'll be truthful, he had me for a little bit. I was kind of coming across the table, but bastard is getting me. And then my dad went, Eddie, fuck off. Excuse me about language, but that's true. When, yeah, right me like down, I thought, he almost had me there, he almost had me. But no, I think he's missed me. I mean, you can talk about, I've got my twin's second birthday tomorrow and I've got to go do balloon run and pick cake up and all that, so I'll try and keep this a little bit short, but no, it's good to be back. Obviously he's missed us. I think he's missed the big nights. Things happen in boxing, and this is a long story. It's not some of what happens in a year and then it's done. We chipped away for a very, very long time, and he refers back to the Samir Menemni fight. And I remember that fight, I was there as cannon fodder, but we upset the odds, won that fight, had a good fight with Rendell, and then we grew together. Some epic nights in the first Direct Arena in the first few years of being together. And then, you know, things happened whilst I was away. In that break of the transition, I had a chance to develop a little bit more, probably rest what were well needed, and obviously did what I did, winning the world title. And now, as I'm going into the last few chapters of my career, you know, it's come back round. There's some big opportunities. Obviously, the unification is numero uno, but I've also talked about the away day, and you know, we're only joking about the stories of Berlin. I mean, so those who went there, it's folktale, and everyone who tells the stories has got twinkle in their eye. I mean, can you imagine that in Madison Square Garden or in Las Vegas? You know, the airport flying over. I mean, I think some of the lads were on the same plane as him, and you know, he would have a bit of an experience. And I don't think one of the planes were going to take off because everyone were carrying on. But I was over there a few years ago when I watched Carl Frampton fight Leo Santa Cruz in Vegas, and when I'm there, I'm looking about, and there's taxis driving past with the fight poster on. There's buses, there's billboards. I'm thinking, wow. Go in the casino, there's blackjack tables. He's everywhere. I'm thinking, this is unbelievable. I'd love a little bit of this. But then reality hit me. I could imagine it. It's all prim and proper. All these posters, all the Americans are expecting us. Then you've got 20,000 Leeds fans coming in, smashing front doors down, jumping up and down on tables, singing Marching On Together. All Leeds out, we, oh, worry. So I wouldn't be too good then, actually, would it? But listen, it's all about making memories now. And Ed and Matchroom have got the connections in the States. And I'm only for the big fights. Obviously, mentioned that we want going down the unification route. I've got my manager's challenge as well with Kid Gallard, so there's plenty of fights there to keep me busy. But you know, Ed has said that he's going to deliver everything that he initially offered, and I believe he will do so.
Josh, thinking about that amazing night at Ellen Road, you know, to become a fighter who, like, anyone's dream really in their own city is to fight at a football club or a sporting ground.
Yeah.
But to come here as well and tick off another one off the box, there's not many people that have sort of done it at multiple sites within their city. I mean, you're talking about, you know, AJ, like the top names that have boxed in multiple stadiums in the country or around their cities.
Yeah, you're right. It's obviously I hadn't done the same numbers of what AJ done with like doing the Cardiff and Wembley, but obviously he's a good-looking fella and he can hit hard. Whereas I've been hit with ugly stick a few times and I'm feather fisted, but we do all right, don't we? You know, and that night at Ellen Road, where someone will stay with me till day I die. Obviously, I can go on and sit and talk about that all night. You know, having the Kaiser. I mean, Eddie, we're fantastic. It should have been there, mate. Should have been there.
I'll finally watch your bloody film now, because I haven't been able to watch it for a long time.
Listen, I've got to be honest with you. I remember you sent me a direct message saying congratulations. I remember looking at my phone going, But
don't worry, it was hard for me to press send.
But no, it was an epic night, and it's a box ticked, and that's done now with Ellen Road, 6 there in the happy chapter. To come and do Headingley would be, wow, it'd be even more so special. I mean, they've just done a redevelopment with the 2 stands. Obviously, it's a little bit more compact than Ellen Road, so can you imagine a Kanju or a Shakur Stevenson or a Gary Russell walking out in front of this? They wouldn't know what hit them. Obviously, Headingley is notorious for the good old knees up. You know, the Otley Run, I'm sure there's a few in here who've done that. And on a nice summer's day, it just captured the city again. You know, one thing that really captured me last time on fight day, you know, you have that bit of that unsettledness and you have a bit of nerves. And I remember sitting in the hotel room and a couple of my pals come to see me and they said, Josh, no matter whatever happens tonight, you've made the city proud. He said, every bar is buzzing, everyone's chanting your name. He said, you've done something special. This time round, I think it'd be twice as big, twice as busy. So, you know, to do that, I think it'd be the final box ticked of wanting to achieve over here, especially in this city. After that, you know, I'd look to just travelling around the world.
Fighting, hopefully.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
When we talk about those champions, talk about those great. I mean, the fight with you and Kanzu, who I think broke the record for the amount of punches he threw in his last fight, and you do the same, would just be a breathtaking fight. Obviously, the Shakur Stevenson fight, he comes with plenty of chat, and he's Andre Ward on the team. You know, that's the Hollywood fight for you over here. Leo Santa Cruz, which you might have the head stateside for. Gary Russell, very, very tough opponent as well. Which of the fights you look for out of those?
Oh, I'm not boring.
Sorry, that's been boring. Oh, we'll wrap it up there.
Probation. Community service. You know what, Ed? All of them fights excite me. You know, it's about being part of the big nights. You know, I mean, who in the right mind wins a world title and has the first defence against a fighter what's ranked even higher than them? I mean, Carl Frampton. You know, after we beat Lee Selby, you're fighting Carl. Carl's he's better than Lee. He's at even higher level. But I want to be part of these big nights. I mean, I've got to be honest with you, I never thought when I first turned pro that I'd achieve a world title. I remember saying to Steve, all I want to do is try win a British title. We set goals after that. We got the shot with the European, and then after that, you know, we're knocking on the door for the world title for a long time. And now we're here. I believe I beat any other featherweight in this division. They've all got their own little perks. Obviously, like I said, Kanju, he put us in a phone box. That'd be a very entertaining fight. He throws a lot of punches, I throw a lot of punches. Obviously, Shakur Stevenson is a bit of a gobshite, so you know that'll have a very good build-up. And Gary Russell Jr., I think he's the second longest reigning champion out of all of the champions. So you know, he's got that green and gold belt as well, the WBC. I've won them fights, a massive fight, and that's what I want to be part of. I don't want to be just known as a decent boxer from Leeds or a decent boxer from Yorkshire. I want to go down like as a decent boxer from this country and from the UK. And taking them fights is what people want to see. People want to see going into the big fights and not padding it out and just having steady defences. They just want to see big fight after big fight after big fight.
And talking of the home advantage, I mean, it's just like literally having a couple of rounds in the bank before it starts. I mean, but with the quality of opposition, you can't just rely on home support. Remember when Errol Spence boxed Kell Brook at Bramall Lane, atmosphere was unbelievable, but quality shone through. But you must feel like you have a huge edge here. And I don't believe Shakur Stevenson I'm quite impressed with the fact that he's willing to come to Leeds.
Yeah.
You know, he's a big name in America, or emerging big name. He's got a big promotional company behind him. He's got Andre Ward behind him, James Prince. He's bang up for coming to Leeds.
Yeah.
But do you think he really knows, or maybe he'll shine under that kind of pressure? But it's a huge challenge for anyone coming into, especially a bear pit that Headingley would be.
Oh, most definitely. I don't think he will. He does realise. I mean, he'll see the videos and whatnot. And even if he comes over for press conferences and everything else, nobody can really like put it there until they've actually done it. You know, like I remember Lee Selby saying it's not going to faze him, and you know, he might argue that till he's blue in the face. The crowd didn't faze him, but you watch the way that he walked to the ring. He's more or less running to the ring instead of doing his little swagger walk and whatnot. Again, Carl Frampton when we're there. The fans are a massive part, and they always have been a part of my journey. I can fight with an away crowd against me, or with them on my side. I had a lot of my fights in the early days, like the old fight I would away from home, the English title fight I would away from home. There is probably more pressure when you fight at home because there's an high expectation, but I think I've done it that many times now. I know what I'm in for, and I realise what kind of mentality I've got to go through. They won't know until they walk into the ring. I mean, it's not just the ring walk either, it's been over here on fight week. You know, the fans, I don't like calling them fans because it makes me sound a bit big-headed, but those who've come to my fights and follow my journey, you know, there's a lot of passionate people amongst us, and there's a lot what sacrifice a lot to be at the fights, but they're not just at the fights, they're at the open workouts, they're at the press conferences, they're at weighing, and they've got to contend with all that, and it's a mental battle just in that week. And I say that any percentage where they're taking their mind off the fight is a percentage to me. You know, if they're concentrating hard of like showing a poker face and not going to get affected by the crowd, that's a little bit more to me. And likewise, if I had to go to someone's backyard and fight in, you know, someone's yard where they've got a big crowd behind, a big fan base, that doesn't bother me either, because you know, I can deal with that kind of pressure. Carl Frampton one day, he had a good support with him in Manchester, and when you know he had a little bit of success, the crowd shouted and he wanted to come forward and push on it. He kind of played into my hands, so I'm happy with either. But I tell you, there's been some fantastic shows over the last few years, stadium fights and whatnot. But no one comes close to when it's done in Leeds. I mean, I'll argue with anybody. It's one of the best atmospheres in the world. You know, the Leeds crowd are notorious for being passionate with the football club, with the rugby club, and that's grown and grown. And like, I'm talking as long as you now. I'm boring myself here. Like after beating Frampton, we've taken on a lot of fans from over Ireland, Northern Ireland, and the fans are starting to come from all over, and they want to be part of that as well. So we have a fight over here. It'll be something special, and I already feel like I'm a few rounds up.
Well done, Josh. Well, for me, it's an absolute pleasure to have you back. And like I said, not just the #1 featherweight in the world, one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in Britain, and one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the world. And it's time to prove that. We're on the case. You'll be hearing news in the next 2 weeks. First and foremost, unification fights here at Headingley is the aim. And to you lot, thank you so much for supporting him, not just when we were involved initially, but throughout his whole career, because he wouldn't have got these opportunities without you. And like he said, he calls you fans, you're more like friends to him, because you've helped him achieve where he is today. And be ready, we're going to have some crazy nights come this summer in Leeds. So thank you always, and we look forward to some great nights in Leeds. Ladies and gentlemen, the current reigning IBF World Champion, Josh Warrington.